Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very action-packed Slice of Gaming podcast today. We got a lot of big news stories, a lot of events, a lot of people to talk about it. We got a pretty big cast here today. Joining me today is Bench.
Hello, I'm happy to be here. I have secured the PS5 Pro.
Oh, by the way, this is Wolf talking. I always forget to introduce myself. I started noticing that recently. And it's like, oh yeah, I guess like the people listening don't know who the fuck I am. Just some guy. I'm also joined by Dark.
Hey, how's it going?
And special guest, Jackie G. How you doing, Jack?
Hello. I'm a bit sick, so I apologize if my voice sounds odd.
It's okay. We got Dark here every week, so we get used to the weird voices.
Yeah, fuck you too.
And finally, making his long-awaited return, Fusion. Welcome back, bud.
Dude, hopefully there's no rust. This is like when I'm not gonna spoil that game. Never mind. I was gonna say it's like that when that one person returns in that one thing, but I'll avoid the spoilers. But
Do a
I'm
football
happy to be back.
reference. That's your thing.
This is like when Tom Brady retired and then unretired.
Oh, see, I
He did
actually
that.
understand that one. That was the funniest shit when that happened. It's like, okay, clearly you're obsessed, buddy. But no, Fusion, it's good to see you. I asked this to Moon, so I'm gonna ask you this: what was the best game you played in the last 3 months?
Oh, in the last 3 months, or is like Astrobot counts, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that was the last 3
Astrobot.
months, so then Astrobot by far.
Hell yeah, that's what I want to hear. That's good to hear because I think Moon had the same answer. And you could talk about it later if you want on what we've been playing. So you could just talk about because he recently finished that up. But yeah, Astrobot. God, what a fucking game! It's so good.
Very
It's
good.
a wonderful video game.
But you know what? None of that's important because we got to talk about the news. We got a pretty big stuff. State of Play, TGS happened. Ubisoft is very much in the news more than ever. A lot of things to talk about, but before we get into it, check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find your favorite podcasts. Like the podcast, any type of support helps us, and follow us on Twitter at A Slice of Gaming. But I think we're just about ready to get back. We just got to jump into it, all right? We got a lot of shit. First off, starting with the PlayStation State of Play. This happened on Tuesday around 5 p.m. my time, 5 p.m. CST. Pretty much like around the same reactions online as I expected. Some low, some high. Very mixed overall, I'd say. But that doesn't matter because we are the final authority on what the PlayStation State of Play gets. So I'm just going to go around the horn. Everyone's opinions on the State of Play just briefly and numbers score. Let's start with Bench. What do you think, Bench?
I mean, I think it was just solid. I don't think it was like the best thing ever, but it had some surprises and it dated a lot of things a lot of us had questions about. And I do think it like showed some of the PS5 Pro stuff in maybe like kind of a better way, kind of showing more games like Dragon Age and updates to existing games. And I genuinely think it was just a good showing, something I'm glad that happened.
What would you give it a rating?
Probably a B.
A B? Okay. Fusion, how about you?
Well, to start, are we giving letters or numbers?
I was gonna go numbers.
That's what I thought.
I didn't want to correct Bench because he doesn't care about
Yeah.
anything I do here. So yeah, just go.
Okay,
with
No,
well-
I would have given it like an 8, maybe 8.5. That
Okay.
ghost maybe have boosted it.
Man,
Okay,
8 sounds so much higher than a B. Is that just me? Like I don't know why that just sounds. Like
It's right. It just sounds
Yeah, I
weird.
would just say 80% would be a B minus. So
yeah, it just sounds way higher. I don't know why. But yeah, go ahead, Fusion.
yeah, kind of what Ben said. For the most part, I think State of Plays have been getting better. We were in a while there, like the last year, like probably 2 or 3 years, where like State of Plays were just becoming like jokes and like no one was excited for them. And it seems like it started in January with the Death Stranding 2, and then the last one with Astrobot, and then this one with Ghost, which we'll talk about later. Like, it seems like they are getting a little bit more hype and more serious with the State of Plays. I think this is the best one in a while. I liked a lot of the games there. It's nothing crazy. It's not a showcase. It's not even like the Xbox E3, but I would say for what it was and what I expected, I would give it like an 8.
Another 8. Okay. What about you, Jack?
I had very low expectations of this. I was kind of being a bit of a downer on Bench and Fusion
Oh, me too,
before,
brother.
but No, I thought it was really good. Like, I mean, for a state of play, like it was a really good show. The whole second half of it really carried, but you know, I'd give it an 8 as well.
Interesting. And rounded us out. Dark, how about you?
I'm the lowest out of everybody. I thought it was fine. I felt like a lot of these announcements could have just been announced on Twitter on something like that. Ghost 2 definitely carried the entire fucking showcase, but overall, I'll probably rate it like a 4 or 5 out of 10.
And then for me, I think I was right there with you, Jack, where I was going into this with very low expectations because it's a state of play. You shouldn't go in with any expectation really because they are not even Nintendo Directs. They're not the E3 showcases, PlayStation showcases. This is where PlayStation a lot of the time is just marketing deals. You know, get stuff done for the partners that they want to get their stuff marketed at a PlayStation titled event. And I think this one is generally better than most. I still wouldn't necessarily put it like this is kind of what I want from a state of play, what I expect from a state of play. A lot of third party stuff, some cool looking things, and then maybe end with a big first party reveal of some sort. And that's kind of that's kind of what I want from a state of play personally. I almost think there's the fact that Ghost was here kind of tells me something more telling about like the state of play, which is something I want to get into after we go over the showcase. But overall, I think I'm just sitting at around a 7. Like it was good. Like I definitely had some stuff I personally really care about that I was very excited about. But looking at it from a more objective standpoint, it's like yeah, 7 is kind of what I'm thinking. But let's actually get into some of these announcements. I just want to pick out some highlights that I think are the most interesting. Obviously, we start off with Astrobot DLC, and as we stated before, Astrobot's a fucking amazing game. And already the state of play started perfectly for me because I got some Astrobot stuff, and it said fall 2024, and I got really sad because I was really hoping it was a shadow drop. And I think I was telling you about that, Fusion.
Yeah, I for sure thought when it showed up, it was going to be one of those things where it's like out today at the end of it, or at least like maybe out this week. I think it's a little weird that they just put fall. Like, I feel like we're in fall, so what does that mean? Who knows? But I was a little disappointed that we do have to wait.
Yeah, because it's like no real release date for it either is the interesting part. Just fall.
Yeah, like, but that could be. I assume November probably, but
Yeah,
even then, that seems like so far away for just like the 5 challenge levels and 10 bots to be like, hey, it's still probably 6 weeks away, but who knows?
Yeah, I agree. Do you think this is something they just like drop when the PS5 Pro drops? Just to have.
Nah,
Okay.
I don't think it really
No, but
matters. It's
I
not
could
the
see,
type of game that benefits from Pro. Go ahead, Fusion, sir.
yeah, but I could see like it'd be cool if once the Pro dropped, they added like a Pro level or something, or like something
Yeah.
related to the Pro where they're like, oh, the Pro's dropping, let's celebrate the Pro and have like 2 more like levels based around the Pro or something. I don't know.
Astro's
Yeah.
Playroom had something semi-similar to that, where they effectively added a lot of like the PS5 stuff when Astro Bot got revealed into Astro's Playroom and the gotcha machine there. So I could see something similar to that, where you get the PS5 Pro and like a lot of the accessories that come with it. But yeah, no, Astrobot DLC cannot wait. They showed 2 of the 10, Helldiver and Eve from Stellar Blade. Any thoughts on what you guys think the other ones will be? I feel like a lot of them are just going to be the ones that we kind of got through the credits. That
Yeah.
they said, oh yeah, these characters. So I think Rayman was there. There was a Worms character. I think Argonauts was thanked as
I
well.
think
I don't
Beyond Good and
remember.
Evil.
Yeah, Beyond Good and Evil probably. Maybe.
I think that was
Yeah.
in the credits.
I think so. Yeah. There was one other character that. Oh yeah, there. I saw like the blurriness because they kind of blurred the other 8,
Mhm.
showing it off. One of them definitely looked like Sweet Tooth, and it was kind of weird that Sweet Tooth wasn't in the base game. So I just feel like that's kind of an inevitability. So yeah, if you thought you had enough of Sweet Tooth, you're not fucking over. You're getting more Sweet Tooth,
He's
baby.
the goat.
God
Still
bless
no
him.
Square Enix.
Still no Square Enix. I mean, that just seems like a thing where like Square Enix wants to have all the attention, so they're like, give us an entire like DLC planned around Square Enix characters.
Maybe they wanted one of those themed levels, and that was kind of designated for Sony first party.
That company sucks. I'm sorry. Moving into other things that I want to point out. Just want to point this out really fast. Power World got a shadow drop. Cool that it's happening. It's not releasing in Japan for PlayStation. And it's kind of clear why, because that's where the lawsuit with Power World, the Pokemon Company, is happening. I just thought that was really funny. I don't think this is really going to do much for like Power World as a game, especially the timing here is insane. But I just thought I'd point that out. I don't think I'm gonna jump back into Power World. That was cool for like the couple weeks that I played it, and then I'm like, okay, I don't need to play this again.
Yeah, the only way I go back in was like when their official like out of early access thing comes out.
Yeah, I mean, that's. It feels like it's gonna be one of those like permanent early access games where it's like they just have the early like. Remember when Fortnite had early access next to it for like years? It feels like that's just gonna be what Power
I mean,
World
then I
is.
just don't have an excuse to go back, so it's not the end of the world.
I want to jump gears, like kind of late into the presentation. This was a big announcement. Horizon Zero Dawn remastered. Okay, well, big announcement. We knew this was going to be a thing, but this is one of the PlayStation first party remasters. They didn't show Days Gone remasters, thank God, because imagine what people would have said there. But Horizon getting the remaster treatment. It's a $10 upgrade, and I I don't know. I don't really care that much. Do you guys have any thoughts on this thing? But it's just another remaster.
I mean, I think I specifically thought it would be like a lot bigger of a deal, and I'm glad it's not. Obviously, it's a remaster, and they're not going super far with it. So, like, I know a lot of people were up in arms when like the rumor was like coming out on what it was, and I was kind of there. But like, now that we know what it is, and it's a $10 upgrade, it's like they're gonna do these for probably a couple games. And I don't care. I'll play the ones I want to play for $10, and that's fine.
Yeah, Fusion. I was kind of thinking about this. I wanted to ask you specifically if you remember when they did a lot of those director's cuts. They did Ghost, they did Death Stranding, and then there was Spider-Man remastered. A lot of people weren't really complaining at all back then. They were like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." I feel like nowadays it's a lot more like prevalent the frustration of something like a Horizon Zero Dawn remaster or Until Dawn remake, because it almost feels like these are not replacing but like subsidizing like PlayStation first party releases, and a lot of people feel like there's not as much stuff from the first party studios because these remasters are taking up time and resources. What do you think about that theory, Fusion?
Yeah, it's funny because I still don't think we needed this Horizon remaster, but I was on the record saying like I said, I was on the record saying I don't think we ever needed this, but whatever. Like if that's what they're gonna do, I think it was the smart idea to do the $10 upgrade thing because, as you said, we've seen the director cuts years ago, and I really wish they would have kept that wording around because I feel like director's cut hits an
Sounds
audience
a lot
easier
better.
than remastered. Yeah, when you're like, oh, this is the director's cut. The only problem with this Horizon remaster is they didn't add content. They said they just made the game look better, and they're like improving the dialogue and the cutscenes, and they re-recorded 10 hours of like the characters talking to each other, but like there's nothing where like Ghost was a director's cut because it came with Iki Island and some other stuff, and Death Stranding 2 was a director's cut because it came with like that racing and like new vehicles and did like all this other stuff that like obviously the Horizon remaster is not getting, or even the Until Dawn remake or remaster, whatever they're calling it. That's not good. As far as I know, they're not getting extra content. So they just have to throw the remastered on there because obviously there's nothing else coming. But it would have been interesting to see the pushback if they would have just called it a director's cut. And if if they would have just called it that. And I think Horizon was always going to get shit no matter what they put out there. Like no matter what Horizon was going to put out there, people think it's like the game that is supposed to like be an insider in the industry. Like people hate the franchise for some reason,
Industry
even though
plant.
an industry plant, even though like millions and millions and millions of players actually really do enjoy it, and they're never talking about it because the minority is so loud about why they hate it. So like anything Horizon here was just gonna piss people off because they feel like we've gotten a lot of Horizon, which we have, but that's also what happens when you're a publisher and you have a really big IP. It's what Nintendo does with Mario, and it's what Xbox tries to do with Halo. They should maybe
Tries.
do a little better, but you know what I mean. That's just what happens when you have a flagship franchise. You put them out there. You want to do as much as you can with them. So I understand people still being upset, but I think the $10 thing did bring a lot of people down back to earth and saying, hey, at least you're not making us pay an entire $60 more. Like, at least this is really just like, if I already owned it, $10 is going to run better on the best system I have now. Cool. It's going to help out the TV show if it's not canceled in a few months or a year from now, whenever it happens. PlayStation knows what they're doing. It's going to make money. It's not that big of a deal. We're still going to get new games. We can all calm down.
I will say it was interesting. I saw the story that this remake master is going to also need the PlayStation Network sign-in, which again, it's not really that big of a deal. It's just funny. It's like the original PC release didn't, so it's like, man, you guys really going hard for this PlayStation sign-up. But I know it boosts their numbers by the end of the year. It's weird, but that's just how they think of it. But yeah, I mean,
jumping into the PlayStation sign up, you can go. They did this with God of War. You can go into the game's INI files and literally change a 0 to a 1 and circumvent this entire thing. It is so stupid.
You're not going into the INI files, Dark, are you?
No, because it's a fucking pain in the ass. The whole thing is like, I don't know why they're pushing so heavy for something that can be like taken out in like less than 2 minutes.
They really want those like PlayStation things. It's like, look at how many PlayStation Network sign-ins we got this past year in the fiscal year. I think it's stupid too, but it's clear this is what Sony wants to do now, so whatever.
And my last thing, sorry. But
yeah, go for it.
I understand, like, there's always that people who will be like, this is taken away from, like a Guerrilla working on Horizon Remaster is taken away from the third game or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But at least it's also, if Sony didn't have these type of things where they weren't feeding us at least some type of content right now, it would be even more dry than you complain about. So at least, like, yeah, we got the Uncharted Lost Legacy collection, but at least that was like Naughty Dog giving you something to play, saying, hey, play the best version of our fan favorite games, or at least the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster for $10. If you haven't played it in 7 years, you're going to be like, okay, maybe I'll check it out. I haven't played it in so long that, like, at least it's something, and they're not just sitting in the complete dark and they're still giving you remasters or remakes, director cuts, whatever. You're still getting content from these studios that we know it's going to be 5 to 6 years between these big games. So, like, at least they're pushing out a little something where we're not just sitting here with our thumbs and doing nothing.
To counter
But
that,
also,
my issue with
well-
this is that these feel kind of pointless. You're able to easily access these games. If they wanted to, they should do this, in my opinion, with games that we can't easily play anymore, like Infamous or fucking Bloodborne for whatever fucking reason. It just feels weird having this many remasters and shit of games that dropped in the last 10 years. It, like, and if this was just a port thing, that's fine because it's your first time being able to play it again. But it feels weird them having to do this on new consoles that already have the game that can run the games perfectly well. Why not do it with games that you can't do that with? That would make a lot more sense and get people into other IPs instead of just God of War is probably next. It is only a matter of time before God of War happens.
No,
will
it's probably
say,
with that Amazon Prime show. But no, I'm kind of right there with you, Dark. I would much rather like this happens with stuff that you can't play on your PlayStation 5 natively. I can play Horizon on my PS5 natively, and I understand all the improvements. They are doing a lot to it. Like, it's less than just a like 1080 to 4K switch and anything like that. Like, it's a lot more than that. But to me personally, I think it's like, okay, maybe use those resources to give me those classic God of War games and maybe do remasters of those, or the Infamous games, or lots of other games like the Ratchet and Clank games. So many other games from previous generations that I can only stream, which is insane to me. Bet you were going to say something? Oh,
Yeah, I'll
sorry.
let Banks go first before I go. If you got something.
I was just going to say that we know specifically that it's in collaboration with Nixties. So I wouldn't be shocked if they're doing most of the heavy lifting and like Guerrilla's more like an overseer of the project.
Nixus is definitely doing most of the work there.
So I would think like Nixties was probably just going to become the PC and remaster studio, which is fine. At least
Yeah, and that's where, like, I 100% agree with both of you that it's like, I would rather the old God of Wars, or even like, it would have been cool if like a Killzone game got like remastered, but that takes actual work. I'm not saying this remaster didn't take work, but I'm saying there's probably 5 to 6 people on that entire Guerrilla team that was like, hey, we're gonna have you guys work on the PS5 port for this video game, instead of, hey, if you want to go back and do an Infamous or an older Guerrilla game or something like that, you might have half the team having to work on that project to bring it up to an actual remaster state. If you want Santa Monica to work on all the old God of Wars, that's going to take a lot more effort to get them through all those generations of consoles than if they were like, let's put God of War 2018 out for $10. I'm not saying as consumers we would rather that, but I'm saying from a dev side, when you're sitting there and they're like, hey, let's pick 4 people from the team to go work on this remaster with Nixies or with whoever is helping them, that's going to be a lot easier, so we can work on down the line projects compared to being like, hey, let's cut half the team. Half the team works on Horizon 3, quote unquote, and half the team works on a Killzone Shadowfall remake or something of that stature.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a damned if you do, damned if you don't type situation. But yeah, again, like I would rather those remasters, but as you say, Fusion, it's like way more work. So maybe this just makes more sense. Maybe they crunch the numbers and they're like, this just works out better for us both financially and like resource wise. Moving into Bench did mention this earlier, the PS5 Pro stuff. I don't know what Bench is talking about. Like this did nothing. What the fuck? Like, you show off like a few more games and then say, "Oh yeah, Pro Enhanced." It's like still just it. You cannot really sell this shit through YouTube live stream compression. I think a better sell of it was stuff like Digital Foundry, who actually got hands on. They said, "Yeah, these improvements are much more noticeable." And I'll admit they were actually genuinely very noticeable when they were talking about it on the Digital Foundry stuff. I'm still not very interested in it, but hey, PS5 Pro users, they're going to have more reason to want to upgrade.
I mean, they definitely, like, the thing that, like, we got the Dragon Age trailer, and I was like, I want this to be Pro Enhanced, and I'd wait until I get the Pro to play it if that happens. And later in the show, it's confirmed to be Pro Enhanced. So it's like, yeah, that's very exciting for me. I'll just wait and play that when I get the Pro.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I guess we could just go right to Dragon Age. It had a very lengthy trailer. Listen, this is y'all's game, so I'm not even going to talk much. I'm just going to say it didn't do anything for me, so tell me if it looked good for y'all. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm playing this for sure. Like, I'm very interested in everything they're doing.
Did the trailer do much more for selling you?
I was already sold, so no, I mean,
well, I mean, like, whatever. Fusion, what about you?
I would say I've been interested in this game for a while. I don't think this was the greatest showing, and like you said, it did go very long. Like I thought, like the boss fight, they probably could have picked a better one. Like the boss fight was fine, but it wasn't anything where you're like, oh my gosh, this is a crazy boss fight. It was just a cool boss fight, but it did go kind of long. Where it was like a 30-minute show. I felt like this took up like 8 minutes or something. And it's like, do you really need? We've seen gameplay for this game already. We've seen other things for this game that looked more impressive than what you showed today. So why was, and like you didn't even show it on the Pro. I know they said it was like that was PS5 only gameplay. So at least maybe if they were like, we wanted to show it off on the Pro and like it looked better, but no, it was just like a cool boss fight and a little bit of lore that I'm sure for most people, if they're already into the game, this didn't change anything. And if you weren't into the game, this probably also didn't change anything because you didn't think it was like the best showing of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just, I think if it went on substantially less time, because like most people that want to play this game are sold, so I feel like you're just trying to get those stragglers that are like, I don't know whether or not I want to grab it, and I don't think this did much for those stragglers. So yeah, I think they definitely could have chosen a better trailer. At this point, I want to save Ghost of Yotei for last. So anything else you guys want to talk about beforehand?
Fantasia Neo Dimension finally got its release date. And I mean, this is a game that's been on my radar since it was like Apple Arcade years ago. So I'm glad it was finally dated and I'll get to play it. And honestly, I was like really hoping it was December date because that'll like slot in the perfect time, and that's what it is. So I'm overall very excited.
Yeah, December seems like a good time for a game of that size and scale. You know, it's a smaller JRPG from.
That's not a smaller JRPG. It's 60 hours long, Wolf.
Hey, Bench, can I finish? I said smaller from a budget standpoint.
Okay.
Smaller in that scale. A small JRPG, those don't exist. God forbid.
I'm just saying, I've never played one. So
Live Alive's 20 hours there. That's your small JRPG. God bless that game. But, I mean, other than that, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2, I actually think is sick. But I wanted to ask, Jack, do you have any interest in those games?
Probably eventually I'll play them. I probably won't play the remasters. I'll just dig up the old ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they definitely look more very interesting to me. I saw a lot of people like not into the remaster look. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because I know you're a stickler for like the way classic graphics look for games of that era.
I mean, It's Aspyr doing it, and they did the Tomb Raider trilogy, and with that you could just switch between the graphics, I think, and the controls. So hopefully this is the same, so you kind of get best of both.
For sure. Yeah. I'm definitely going to check those out because that is done by Amy Hennig. She did the story for those games, and Amy Hennig did Uncharted. So obviously I got to play those games just to understand the history of one of my favorite game creators.
The story of those games are really well done.
Yeah, because they're more like gothic horror type deal. Which, hey, listen, it's something close to Bloodborne. God knows I'm not getting anything Bloodborne in the next 5 years.
Like, I feel like they've been flying underneath the radar. They do a lot of old remasters for games.
I mean,
they mostly do Star Wars, but they do a lot of old games and just bring them back so you can play them again. Which I like a lot.
That's the thing, is that there's like good Aspyr and bad Aspyr. Good Aspyr is something like the Tomb Raider trilogy, which everyone was very into. And then there's bad Aspyr, which did Battlefront.
We don't talk about that one. But they also did the 2 KOTOR games. They did Star Wars Bounty Hunter, which was pretty good too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they're very
They've been
much
around for a hot minute.
I think it's mostly good when it comes to Aspyr, but it's just like they fucked up the one very important game, which is the Battlefront collection. I did want to also, Dark, bring up with you the Stellar Blade update, specifically Nier Automata crossover. We're never getting another game.
Did you see what Nier posted in response to that?
Yeah, so we'll do anything for money.
We'll do anything for money.
God bless them. I gets me way more interested in checking out stuff. Did they say it's this year? I'm going off of Jackie G, my boy, right here. He actually transcribed the whole PlayStation State of Play and did up notes, which, God, it makes it so much easier to look at this. So shout out to Jack. I appreciate it, man.
I think they said this winter. Or
this winter?
I'm sure they said towards the end of this year. I can double check for you.
Yeah, if you could. I'm pretty sure it was this year. So yeah, that's definitely gets me way more interested in checking it out. But yeah, Nier, just, hey, listen, Nier fans, you're never getting another one.
They're gonna make another one. I'm pretty sure Yoko Taro is gonna make another one. There's no way you can't. The series is so fucking big. And to be honest, Square Enix needs some fucking variety right now. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get another one.
We'll get another one. It's just funny. And then the very last thing I wanted to bring up, unless you guys have anything else, other than Ghost of Yote, which is our last segment.
I have a couple of things if I can.
Yeah, go for it, man.
So Dynasty Warriors I thought looked really interesting. I'm kind of interested. Yeah, I'm kind of like considering playing through some of the other titles before I play this one, but I really like the way it looked. So, and you know, it's coming out in January, and January doesn't have that much, so I think I might play it.
Yeah, no, it looks awesome. I'm right there with you. It definitely seems like, it's funny. I've played all Dynasty Warrior adjacent games, but never an actual Dynasty Warriors game. And
same.
I mean, this is called Origin, so maybe this is the way to get in.
And the other one, Monster Hunter got a date. I thought the trailer was kind of, but the trailer was like a story trailer, and that's not really anything I care about in Monster Hunter. But I'm really excited for it's coming out 28th of February, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it, but February is looking a bit ridiculous right now.
Yeah.
On the topic of Monster Hunter, I also saw that trailer, and that's definitely something I really want to check out when it releases. And I mean, I thought, like, because for a while, all the trailers were just like desert, 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 and I'm glad we kind of are getting some environmental shakeups, and it has me excited.
I'm sorry. I have to point this out. The fact that Bench said, yeah, I also saw that trailer. It's like, Bench, we all saw that trailer. It was in the State of Play. I know what you meant, but still.
I would say I just want to bring up Alan Wake real quick because that was something that's something I'm very excited for. Like, I love that game. So like that DLC and the fact that, again, they're doing more of the control crossover stuff, and like, it's just going to be, it looked like the painting in the trailer is probably like an altered world event type thing. Like, it looks cool. My biggest complaint with that though is like, why do you just date it October? Like, October is in 3 days.
What in a week?
You can't tell me, like, I can't stand that. I think they did the exact. No, actually, the last DLC I think was Shadow Drop, wasn't it? So like they didn't do there, but I can't stand games when they're like, we could be a week from the month, and they'll just put like October or November. I'm like, what? You couldn't tell me the next 30 days when this game's coming out, because now they're just gonna tweet out one day, hey, it's live tomorrow or something, and that's just a little annoying when they could have easily put a date.
Yeah, especially because like this is probably the biggest amount of eyes you'll get on that Alan Wake 2 DLC. So it's very weird not to just put the date on so everyone sees it.
I assume it's in my head. It's going to be Halloween, and they just don't want to announce it yet because of Dragon Age on Halloween, and there's another, and the Horizon remasters on Halloween. I feel like Alan Wake 2 DLC makes the most sense on Halloween. You know what I mean? Like horror, like it would make sense. But they probably just don't want to say go out and say it yet because it's like you have gigantic games coming out on that day that you can just wait and get by on Twitter one random Tuesday being like, hey, be excited on Halloween to play this compared to if you announce it now at this state of play. You just saw Dragon Age. You're gonna be like, well, Dragon Age comes out the same day. Am I gonna pick the DLC up over? You know, it could be something like that, or well, I don't know. It could come out October 19th. I don't know. It feels like a Halloween thing to me.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. It is definitely one of those weird things that doesn't make sense not to date. Real quick, and Jack, you just said Stellar Blade, the whole DLC is 2024, which yeah, okay, that's what we were kind of expecting. Very last thing I want to bring up before Ghost is Hell Is Us. That looked very interesting, kind of this modern, post-futuristic Souls-like. Yet another one. They're never gonna stop coming, and. They kind of talked about it on the PlayStation blog. They're basically trying to do this new thing where it's like, hey, we don't want to tell you anything. You're not getting a map or objective markers or anything like that. You basically have to kind of explore the world, pay attention to the world, and try to figure out where you're going from there, which I think is a very cool idea concept-wise. You have to be a very, very talented game developer to nail that. And apparently, this game was revealed a few years ago, and I just completely forgot about it. But this is the first time we got gameplay for it. So, yeah, that's a 2025 date. I don't know if you guys had much interest in it. It seemed cool to me.
It did look. I thought it was Death Stranding at first. Not like I didn't actually think it was Death Stranding, but like the way it portrayed itself, I was like, this is very Death Stranding 2, or like Death Stranding, like.
Yeah.
It looked like the Evil Within, to be honest. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Evil Within vibes for sure. Jack, did you have something to say?
I don't recognize the developer, but it is being published by Nacon, and you know they're sort of like a mid-size publisher, so I probably wouldn't expect that much. They also published Steel Rising in terms of like recent Souls-like games, and I know that wasn't that highly regarded, but it's just something to keep in mind with this one.
Yeah, they're definitely. I think they're a South Korean publisher, and they don't have the craziest track record, but yeah, I mean this one looks interesting.
But they're French, so you know, keep that in mind.
Oh, they're French. Oh, okay. Now I'm completely lost all hype. Yeah. But let's get into the highlight of the state of play for pretty much everyone. I'd be surprised if there wasn't someone who didn't see this as the highlight. Is Ghost of Yotei or Ghost of Tsushima 2, something that has been very much speculated and rumored upon forever, and Bench kept saying Ghost would be revealed at every fucking event. He got it. Actually, I don't think he said it would be here.
No, I don't think he did.
What he didn't say.
The one time he didn't say it.
If the dude could do that for Silksong, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this trailer, very short trailer, but 2025 release date. They showed some gameplay taking place about 200, 300 years after the events of Ghost of Tsushima. It looks fucking awesome. Ghost of Tsushima was my game of the year in 2020, so this is easily shot up one of my most anticipated for next year. I don't really have much else to say other than give it to me, Sucker Punch. I will be there no matter what.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same boat. I'm very much looking forward to Ghost of Yotei, and I think the change of setting specifically is like I think very smart because honestly I think Jin's journey is probably over, and I think they would have had to just stretch it into something that's not as personal and like impactful for like the player if they like really chose to go with him again. Plus, I mean, there's like a 300-year time jump. Technology and stuff in general is just going to be more interesting. It's going to be like a different type of world to explore. And I mean, it's going to look gorgeous because, and I saw some people on Twitter saying, well, Ghost of Yotei it looks the same as Ghost of Tsushima. And like, that would be fine. But no, it looks significantly better. And if you have like eyes, you can tell that. So.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of. It's like I am surprised. It's like it looks the same. It's like, yeah, it looks like one of the best looking games of all time. God forbid. Fusion, how about you? I mean, you're a Ghost fan.
Yeah, I was I really didn't expect it. Like, and I know I jokingly said like forever ago, like this would be a perfect time. Ghost Tokyo Game Show, like this would make sense for it to be here. And we've known with those leaks all the way back in like February that like a reveal was supposed to happen this year. We thought it was going to be in May at the last State of Play, and it was Astrobot. But like we've known for a while that like Ghost was supposed to be revealed at some point this year and come out next year. That's been the rumors. That's been the leaks. That's been like what's been happening. So like I just don't know why. And the State of Play, I didn't even expect it. Like when it popped up, I genuinely was like, "Oh my gosh! Like it's finally happening." It felt like I could finally get excited for like something from these big, like a Sucker Punch, a Naughty Dog, a Blue Point, something where I was like, "Oh my gosh! Like PlayStation's finally showing anything." And again, it looks really good and really cool. My biggest surprise was there was no Jin. Like I guess I never thought about it where we could get a Ghost game without Jin Sakai. Like I never put two and two together. But the fact that we are like, it's not a big deal to me. Like I really did enjoy Jin's story, and like Bink said, it had a conclusion in a way where it's like you don't need more with him. After, like I wasn't disappointed at first, but I was a little just pushed back where I was like, oh, we're not doing Jin, because I really like Jin. I know a lot of people think he's whatever and he's not like some great character. I thought he was a really great character in that game. So like the fact that we weren't getting him at first, I was like, oh, that's a little weird. But when I'm thinking of it, where they're gonna do like it seems like they've said it. They want Ghosts of to be like the title. They just want to tell stories of ghosts among Japan or wherever they're going to go with it, you know? So, like, if this is the way they're going to go and we get a new game every 5 years and it's like, hey, a new character every time, like, I think that is going to lead to bigger success than if they were just Jin Sakai for the next 20 years or however long the Ghost series goes. So I think it was the right idea, and I cannot wait to see this game. Even like on a base PS5, it's gonna look insane. I can't imagine on a Pro, and just how now it's like OLED TVs are like more people have OLED TVs now. Imagine like when the first Ghost came out, PS4 game OLED, like the TVs weren't like getting around, but now I feel like everyone has OLED now, and you're gonna get like those color pops that are gonna look so insane on this game, and like the guns and just a bunch of things where I was so excited. Where I rewatched this trailer like 8 to 10 times, and I watched everyone's reactions. I immediately went to Kind of Funny and Easy Allies, and it just felt good again to have that one giant game come out of nowhere that we didn't expect in a State of Play and be like, hey, everyone's going to talk about this for the next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those things where it's like we haven't seen Sony do something on the scale of a Ghost. Like, here's the thing: Astrobot was a very exciting announcement as well, but like, I think there is definitely like a difference in the scale of game, especially because this is next year versus Astrobot, which was like 3 months, and they showed a shit ton of gameplay in that first trailer. And here's the thing: I fully expect I'm probably like Astrobot more personally, but that doesn't take away from probably me being more excited for this because it is a bit more of a wait. It's something that I'm definitely going to have thinking about in my head, and especially when we're doing like most anticipated next year, it's definitely going to be near the top of that list. It's definitely one of those interesting decisions, I'd say, to change the protagonist. I haven't played Iki Island. Did y'all?
Yes, I did, and it's really good.
So, would you say Iki Island Fusion, does that kind of add a closure to Jin's story in a way?
I wouldn't say that, because technically, if I'm correct, you don't have to play it at the end of the game. I think the island opens up after that second arc, that second chapter in Ghost, because you know how Ghost, like, you unlock the zones?
Yeah.
I think after the second zone, you're allowed to go over to the island. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But it does give you some conclusion, because that entire island is about, like, Jin's dad and, like, that part of the story. So, like, you do get big conclusions there, but I don't think it's anything past. You don't get anything past the conclusion of the actual ending of the game with that decision that we're not going to spoil. Like, that's still the like conclusion that they would have to work with if they went down Jin Sakai's path. They would have to go off of that.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's definitely that feeling of like, I really did love Jin, so it is a little disappointing. Like, oh man, I wanted to see that story continue, especially because there was also a second Mongol invasion of Tsushima. But then, as you say, it's like there was a conclusion in a good way for his story at the end of Ghost of Tsushima, and they very easily could say like, yeah, we're going to continue that story, but then, like, as Bench said, extend it way further than it needs to the point where like it almost feels a bit hollow. or just go with a completely different protagonist. And they actually stated in the PlayStation blog, it's like, yeah, when we were envisioning the Ghost series, like we never viewed it as a series where it's like, oh, one protagonist. It was always like different stories across different eras of Japanese history. And that's very exciting. And to go for major time jump where we're using guns now, I'm down for it. And I totally understand the disappointment from a lot of people. Okay, I understand the disappointment from people who are saying they want to play as Jin, not the I have to play as a woman crowd. Not even worth humoring that, but I think it's very much one where I'm very excited to see like more of this character and like her story.
Jin's story is not like it's not like they're just completely dropping it. A lot of this new character, the fact that they said this takes place 300 years after Jin's story, there's gonna be a lot of like living up to his legacy. Like obviously something's gonna happen to this character that's gonna put her down this path, and she's gonna see what Jin did, and she'll be like, okay, I can do something similar to this. And we're probably gonna learn more about what he did in the later stages of his life and stuff, etc. It's not like they're completely dropping him. They're kind of taking like an Assassin's Creed-esque approach, which I don't mind whatsoever. But yeah.
I love the idea of like you kill someone or like you're about to kill someone and they're like, I thought the ghost was dead. Something like that. It's like, oh shit, the legend is there.
I could imagine like a mythic tale and it's all about Jin. Like I imagine
spirit.
That'd
be awesome. Yeah. Well, Ghost of Yotei. Jack, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you care at all about Ghost of Yotei? I actually don't know.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. It's probably my most anticipated game of 25 now already.
Oh, nice.
I am hesitant on whether it will actually release in 2025. I'd like, I suppose it depends when GTA 6 launches, because I doubt they'll want them both together. But I am really excited for it. I'm curious, do you think it takes place over like the entire island of Hokkaido, or do you think it's just like a section of it?
How big is Hokkaido?
Huge.
If they're going with their idea of each game is going to be a different protagonist and likely a different location, you might as well use the entire fucking location.
Hokkaido is massive though, like compared to Tsushima.
Yeah, but like you can pretty easily like
you can gamify it, you know.
Gamify, yeah. Like it like Los Angeles is way bigger than Los Santos in GTA 5.
It is interesting that they're focusing specifically on Yotei, which is the mountain or volcano. So I am curious.
Jack,
so that's where the Yotei comes from.
Jack, you did bring up like it hitting 2025. I actually think this is a summer title. I don't think it's a holiday title.
I think you'd be crazy to try to put anything in the holiday in 2025. I mean, that's just too risky. I think I see very much a July, June, kind of around the same time that Ghost of Tsushima came out in that summer span. But also, I mean, hey, maybe it comes out on May for me.
I feel like they're waiting for an announcement. I feel like a lot of these games that just have 2025 and they're just waiting for GTA, whatever other massive title just claim their spot and then do this work around it.
I will say GTA, the thing is that everyone knows it's fall, so they have much longer time span to work with it than a lot of people are saying. It's like, well, we got to wait for GTA. Yeah. It's like, you have 7 months still, so if you're going to release in the first half, you're safe.
No, I get that, but at the same time, like, they're just waiting for like hard confirmation. They're like, okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine Sony could probably talk to Rockstar and get a kind of.
They cannot talk to Rockstar. It's Rockstar.
Herman Holmes walked in there and he's like, guys, just tell me when the game's coming out.
Guys, just give me a really good the game, don't you?
Rockstar doesn't give a fuck about Sony. They're like, no, we're releasing it on their platform. That's all we care about.
They're gonna release it, you have to deal with it.
Exactly.
Every company seems to have a different interpretation of what fall is, and that's where I'd be worried. Like, Sony might say, oh, maybe we can release Ghost in September if GTA is in holiday period, but then Take-Two might say, oh, we count September as fall, so we're releasing GTA 6 in September, and it could just get messy.
I've seen companies count August as fall. So it's like anything is fall now, bro. Motherfuckers are gonna say it's June. It's like it's coming out in fall.
And it's like you say September, but I'm pretty sure like most of the GTAs do come out in September.
GTA 5 came out in September.
5 was, yeah.
They can also pull a Nintendo reverse delay a game and push it up.
Put it in February.
some, game, some game has their game coming out in March. They think they're safe on GTA. Like, guys, guess what?
Dude, imagine everyone's like, "Oh, we're safe." It's like, actually, no, we're releasing it in February. Fuck y'all. You don't have enough time to delay it.
Do you remember Ghost of Tsushima's release? Like, that was planned for June, and then they swapped it with Last of Us pretty much. Like, Last of Us wasn't dated.
Oh, yeah.
Ghost was May or June, and then like Ghost got a delay, and Last of Us was dated for June. Because of all, like, everyone assumed it was because of the leaks that happened. Whether that's true or not, who knows? But it was a whole messy thing of like swapping release dates.
Yeah, that very last, I remember that delay because it was like delayed indefinitely. It's like, oh my god, is it even gonna come out this year? And then like a week later, they're like, oh yeah, we're pushing it back a month.
It's like, what? Why did you fucking freak us out like that? I think it was because they didn't have enough. They were trying to figure out manufacturing because of COVID for the physical copies. But yeah, that was just funny as hell when that happened. But yeah, I don't know. I think release date wise, Ghost could come out at any time and do pretty well. I think it would prefer to have like a spot of the year where it's kind of like releases and it's safe type deal. But I think that's everything in regards to Ghost. What just last thoughts on the state of play? I did want to bring this up. The state of plays in a way. Do you guys think, like, what's the shift of the state of play as a moniker? Do you think that Sony's trying to shift the idea of, like, because, like, the last few state of plays, we've gotten a major first party, like, PlayStation Studios join. A Death Stranding 2 in the February one, Astrobot and Concord, God bless his heart, in the May one. And this one, we got Ghost of Yotei. Do you guys think maybe they're moving away from the showcase moniker and now they're like, okay, showcases are for when we do, like, the console reveals and whatnot, but like state of play, we're just going to reveal like our one game and that'll be the one to subsidize you for a few months until the next game gets revealed, kind of in that Nintendo strategy.
Yeah, because I mean, I think they want like Ghost to be out in less than a year of its reveal, which will be true because it'll be like 8 to 9 months, and I think that's kind of what they're looking for. Because if they have a showcase and they announce everything, there's going to be some things that are pretty far out.
Yeah, like a major. I just think the shift in strategy is starting to become more imminent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if showcase monikers. Maybe they do a showcase next year. Who knows? I'm more and more doubtful that we start to see the showcase moniker come back, especially after that last one.
Yeah, I do think they're trying to blend the two, where it's like, because when I said at the start of the show, like, for years people see state of plays and they're just like, meh, like I'm not even gonna watch. Like, there's no point to watch. Or if you do watch, you try to hype yourself up into believing something like a Ghost can show up. We did that for like 4 years straight where we're like, oh, Naughty Dog will be here, and it just never happened. It wasn't until this year where it's like, oh, like you said, Death Stranding, and even in that Death Stranding one, Until Dawn remake was there, which is like, obviously that's not first party, but it's exclusive PlayStation owned IP, blah, blah. And then like Astrobot and Concord and now Ghost, where it's like, and even not even just Ghost, Horizon Remaster was here. Yeah, it's a remaster, but that is a first party Guerrilla game. Like, they were here in a state of play where it's like, before, I felt like that last showcase, PlayStation really was just like, okay, we let every single person down here, and now we put the standards too high of like, they were, for a while there, you basically couldn't be excited as a PlayStation fan unless you heard the word showcase, because you heard state of play and you're like, no, like, I don't want to watch this. I'm a victim to it where I did it for a while where I'm like, I just wanted to see a showcase. I was tired of the state of plays because I knew it was going to be 7 Square Enix Japanese games that all look the exact same, and half of them get 50s on OpenCritic, but they're there every single time somehow. They've like had a million of them, and it's like, that was state of play for a very long time, and it feels like this year they finally shifted, and it feels like it's a whole shift in marketing that we've been going down. And it's just coming home. It could be just coincidence that games are now ready to show, and we're getting out of the dark period of, hey, we had nothing to show. So it could be a coincidence, but if we continue down the path of, hey, state of play is going to be actually exciting, I think that's better for the industry than being like, hey, you might get one showcase every 2 years that's going to have everything you want, compared to, hey, you might get 3 or 4 state of plays now where you actually have to pay attention and be excited for.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is definitely something we're going to have to monitor moving forward when it comes to PlayStation. And the way that they market everything really has kind of shifted in a way. So I'm very curious to see what the future of the like marketing machine of PlayStation is. As someone who's followed them for over 10 years And I almost always kind of had this idea of like, this is how Sony does things. And now it's like, nah, we're actually doing it a completely different way.
I mean, think of the E3s, like 4 to 5 in a row, where it was like the same 4 games. That was places for a long time. They just kept showing the same game. We're like, now it feels like you said, they want you to see a game for the first time and say, hey, you'll be able to play this within the next year. Like, we're going to show you this today. Within the next year, you're going to get hands-on with this game, which for us as consumers, it's probably better. I prefer it that way, but then we can't get mad when we have those days where it's like you're not showing anything. Well, do we want a game to be shown 4 years out, or do we want the game to be shown and then out in the next year?
Yeah, for sure. I'm right there with you. Because, I mean, that's kind of the current thing that Xbox is going through, where, you know, a lot of those games that we saw at that Xbox showcase is awesome to see gameplay for the first time of them. But, like, something like Perfect Dark, that's, like, 2026 most likely, so we're going to see that a few more times. Fable, that's, like, end of 2025 most likely. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to try to, like, yuck anything. I think it's an interesting strategy that all three companies market their games in different ways, and I'm very excited to see kind of, like, what the shift is moving forward for like just overall. I think COVID really changed the way a lot of these companies market their games, because they're like, oh, we don't need to do these big stage events. Let's just put out a YouTube video. People are going to watch it. But that's everything in regards to the state of play. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out, something that wasn't at the state of play, and I think most people would agree with me when I mention this. The Spider-Man 2 DLC, I think it's canceled.
I don't think there ever was Spider-Man 2 DLC. There wasn't in the
There was.
But was it?
It was in the leak. The Beatles stuff.
It was in the leaks, and it was also when the unofficial PC port came out. There was a mod menu for it. I don't think that is ever dropping. I think that's a lost cause.
I mean, I'll go one step further. I think Venom doesn't exist. I think that just doesn't exist anymore. I think at one point they were going to do Venom, and now it's like, it's just whatever.
I feel like Venom does exist, but I don't think Wolverine is dropping next year.
I mean,
I think they showed Wolverine off way too early.
I mean,
even the deal just signed, and then like a month later, like showed the trailer.
When they showed that CG trailer, they even stated it's like this is very, 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 very early.
I think not Wolverine. No, I think Venom does exist, but it makes sense given what they're trying to do. And I feel like that will hold people off until either Spider-Man 3 or Wolverine, because I don't know which one is coming out first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm very curious. Kind of to see the future of those games. I am not very much excited for any of them because Insomniac just basically turns into a Marvel game studio now. But hey, who knows? I'll get a Ratchet game in 2029, thankfully. Moving on to our next story. Ubisoft is kind of imploding right now. There were a lot of things happening across the Ubisoft space. A lot of weird shiftings happening. Like Assassin's Creed had TGS previews and then they were canceled like the day before they were supposed to go out. And it all culminated in Assassin's Creed Shadows being delayed. And this is from the official account. Assassin's Creed Shadow will now release February 14, 2025. Dear players, Shadows is a dream project for us, finally bringing the series to feudal Japan. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. As such, we've made the decision to postpone the release date to February 14th, 2025 on Valentine's Day. Which, real quick, I just want to point out, when the delay first happened, I didn't realize it was on Valentine's Day. So I was like, weirdly, like, why is everyone talking about love in the air? Then I completely fucking slipped my mind. But anyways, the game will release on a broad range of platforms, including Steam at launch. So that was a new thing, is that now it's going to be on Steam day one. Additionally, pre-orders will be refunded, and all future pre-orders will grant the first expansion for free. We understand this decision will come as disappointing news, especially to those who've been waiting patiently for an Assassin's Creed game inspired by feudal Japan. But we sincerely believe this is in the best interest of the game and ultimately your experience as a player. Now, there's a lot more stuff in the Ubisoft kind of rabbit hole to get into, but I just want to immediately go into Jack. Jack, I know you're the big Assassin's Creed guy. What's your thoughts on this delay? Do you think this helps the game at all? Like, why do you think it was delayed? All that good stuff.
So, this is weird. I feel like, I know people say this about companies all the time. I feel like this is the most important game Ubisoft will ever make. Like, this could completely determine the fate of the company. If this fails, I think there's a buyout. I think the leadership is just completely changed over. I think all these subsidiaries Ubisoft has all over the world, I think a lot of them are going. it's a messy situation. It is. It's difficult. Like, I get the reception to Outlaws apparently wasn't as good as they maybe wanted, so they're just panicking. But even then, like, this game I feel like could easily come out this year, but it would be in a probably in the same state that Outlaws is. It's not perfectly finished, really. It would definitely benefit from these extra few months. So I think this is for the good of the game. It will benefit from this, but it's just there's so many red flags around it. I don't know. I think it will still sell well. I just don't know if it will sell enough.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I do you think it kind of relates to you said it relates to Outlaws, but do you think just in general Ubisoft is starting to realize like people are kind of getting tired of their half-baked games, thousands of expansions, buy it later approach where it's like their games go on sale so quickly. Pretty much everyone says that nowadays when it comes to any Ubisoft game. Do you think that's just they're starting to finally realize like people have been saying this stuff about their games for years and it's actually now starting to affect their bottom line?
I think it's just, yes, I think all of those things are true, and it's just a different market. Like, the Assassin's Creed Valhalla launched at the perfect time, really. Like, there were new consoles to show it off. They even moved forward the date to like be there at launch for the Series X and be there first thing on PS5. And then it sold like what, over 10 million? So Valhalla sold like a lot.
So
like,
I think that was 10, 15 million. I know it made like the fastest
it made $1 billion.
to reach $1 billion.
Yeah, so like Shadows does probably have those expectations on it, and I just don't know if it can match them. Like, people nowadays are more cautious with what they're spending money on. We're not in the middle of a pandemic anymore. Games are expensive. A lot of people are more willing to skip it. So I still think it's going to sell very well. It's an Assassin's Creed game. They almost always do. And this is the one that people have been begging for so long. Again, I don't expect it to outsell Valhalla, at least for a long, like maybe in the long run it could, but not as fast as a Valhalla. And I do think Ubisoft will be disappointed in that.
It's interesting because I remember seeing a news story that like pre-orders for Shadows outpaced Valhalla's pre-orders, and obviously that's pre-orders. That's not the full picture of everything, but I do think it's on the like scale. But I am with you that I don't think it beats Valhalla because Valhalla had one major thing about it that I think a lot of people forget. It was a launch title for next gen. It was like one of the big games that came out alongside the PS5 and Series X. And say your opinions about the game. I know a lot of people dislike it, but at the end of the day, like it was a very massive game that was day one on these brand new machines. So a lot of people were like, oh yeah, I'll grab that as like my day one game for my PS5. It just made sense in that regard. I will say that this delay, I don't know how much bug squanching they can do in 4 months. I feel like it would have made more sense if it was like a March or maybe an April delay, but if you go into April, then you're missing out on the financial year, and I feel like Ubisoft really wants to avoid that. I don't know if there's like 20 games coming out there.
I don't know if this is just simply for bugs or anything, because delays happen. That's fine, whatever. It's the way that the delay happened. They had a TGS conference the same day. What the fuck happened with that? Like, I don't know if I'm like the only one that feels like that's really weird. Like, if they found something detrimental to the game, I'm pretty sure you would plan around the delay if you're having one. You're not gonna set up a TGS conference and then cancel it the day of. I don't know. It feels weird, in my opinion. The whole situation.
I agree with that. Like, it was clearly very last minute. Like, they only decided this.
I don't know what happened, but they found something.
I think they saw those Outlaw sales and those reviews and were like, okay, maybe. Because I'll actually go right into it. Ubisoft admits Star Wars Outlaws underperformed. Ryan did still said this. Ubisoft admitted open world Star Wars Outlaws has underperformed and announced a Steam release date alongside it. A financial update from Ubisoft announced a number of significant changes at the company. This came alongside word that Star Wars Outlaws had a, quote, softer than expected launch and November 21st release date for Steam. Quote, despite solid ratings, at 76 on Metacritic and user scores across the first party and Epic stores, that reflect an immersive and authentic Star Wars universe, Star Wars Outlaws initial sales proved softer than expected. So yeah, I think the Outlaws sales figures, they looked at those after a month and they were like, it's clear this is not doing as much heavy lifting as we need, and that puts way more like Assassin's Creed Shadows. You need to fucking over deliver. You need to really carry our financial year because this is just not working out. Fusion, I know you're a massive Ubisoft fan. Any thoughts on all of what was just said?
It's a selfish. I have a very big selfish reason of why I hate the delay, and it's because of Ghost of Yotai or Yote, however you pronounce it.
I don't think that's very selfish because I think that they outright stated that in one of the investors asked that. I didn't add it, but like it was like, hey, do you think that like coinciding with Yote in the same year would like affect Shadows? And they were like, oh, they're different games. It's like I don't know how different it would be because most people said Ghost of Tsushima was just the Assassin's Creed of Japan they wanted, and I feel like Yote is going to be that plus 1,000. But sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, no, whereas like I'm pretty sure I said on the podcast forever ago where I was worried when this even got a fall date that I was like, do I want to play two gigantic similar stealth Japanese games in the same like year? Like, do I want to play them even a year apart? And now the fact that like they could be 3 to 4 months apart, that just feels like a very tough sale for people to be like, I could be someone who is like, oh, I could play Shadows, who I really still want to play, or I could wait 3 months and then play Ghost, which I assume in my mind is going to be the better game. You're going to have so many people like that who it's like, instead of maybe they would have double dipped and they would have got Shadows this November, and then next June or July, they would have went, okay, I'm ready for more Japanese open world stealth assassin game. I'll do it. And there's going to be plenty that will get both still in February and whenever Ghost comes out. But it's selfishly, I'm like, that kind of sucks that now they're going to be probably so close to each other that it could come down to a decision making of, hey, I'm going to get one or the other. And just as Ubisoft as a whole, it is kind of scary because if you were making an open world Star Wars game of all IP, Star Wars, and that's underperforming, like Avatar underperformed, we know that. But like Avatar is whatever. They didn't market it very well. It came out at the end of the year. It felt like they just wanted to get the game out there. Like Massive just wanted to put Avatar out, whatever. Like we've heard the game's fine, but like sales wise, not great. You already missed with Avatar, so you're missing on your IPs, your licensed IPs. You're missing on Avatar. You're missing on Star Wars. You got to rely on Far Cry at some point. And Far Cry, there's not many Far Cry fans out there. I'm just one of the diehard ones. So like, they have to have Assassin's Creed carry the load. We've joked that Ubisoft has become the Assassin's Creed publisher, but at the end of the day, they really might just be the Assassin's Creed publisher. That's all they care about. And if they sit here and they look at like, hey, the Japanese game, the Japanese Assassin's Creed that fans have wanted for 2 decades, isn't hitting social media and isn't hitting people the way that it should, that's probably terrifying for them to be like, hey, our $1 billion franchise is even like dwindling. Like we have to worry about this, and we have nothing else to put out. We have no other Splinter Cell. We don't have a big multiplayer game because the last one, X Defiant, flopped and wasn't good. It's dead. Like Ubisoft doesn't have anything, which sucks because Lost Crown came out in January, and critic-wise, people really liked it, but sales-wise, no one bought it. So it's not like they can't put out good games, but they can't survive without the sales. It doesn't matter how good your games are if you're not getting the money.
It's 100% like something like a Lost Crowd is so stupid. It's like I hate the common consumer, man. Come on, guys, that game is so much better than the Call of Duty you buy every year. But I mean, what you were saying is just like I think Ubisoft has the IP. They have so many IP that perform very well. They were performing very well in the 2000s and then the early 2010s. Stuff like Splinter Cell, like Rayman, like they God, what's it called? They had a Ghost Recon. Ghost Recon's still a thing, but even then, like the last Ghost Recon wasn't very good, and people didn't like it, and it didn't sell well. And it's like Ubisoft has this weird tendency to where, okay, we figured something out. All right, that's all we're doing for the next decade. And they figured out like the open world format, the Ubisoft open world with like Far Cry 3 when that performed very well, and Assassin's Creed and whatnot. And then they just stuck to it for over a decade. And they keep saying like, this game, we're changing things up. And it's still the same thing. And I think people are just starting to get fed up with it, even the common consumer, to the point where they're like, yeah, I don't need to buy this Assassin's Creed game this year because I'm still playing through Valhalla and I'm still enjoying it. So like, why would I, grab this new one? It's just a lot of blow, a lot of like, hey, look at how much content this game has, and a lot of it just isn't doing a lot. And the common consumer is starting to like wise up, and they're going more and more towards these other open world games that are doing a lot more. Again, with the same formatting as like a Assassin's Creed, like Ghost of Tsushima is very successful, but it very much is an Assassin's Creed game. But it's so much more in the sense of like its storytelling, its gameplay. There is a lot more on top of it other than just, hey, it's another Ubisoft game. And I think Ubisoft games go on sale so quickly, and it's like, maybe you guys shouldn't just put it out on sale immediately afterwards. Like, maybe you should try to stay fast and say, hey, we're going to try to keep this up to just foster this idea. Like, hey, you want to know why Nintendo games sell so well day one? It's because people know it's not going on sale. So they're just like, oh, we're going to buy it day one. Ubisoft, everyone waits because it's like, it's this idea that they immediately go on sale, which they do. It's not a like joke. It literally, they will go on sale a week after they come out. So yeah, I don't know. Ubisoft is in a really tough position. I can't say that like I envy where they're going with what's happening right now, but I don't know. God bless them. There is one more thing I wanted to bring up. Destin Legare has this. The Ubisoft board is launching an investigation. Quote, in the light of recent challenges, we acknowledge the need for greater efficiency while delighting players. As a result, beyond the first important short-term actions undertaken, the executive committee, under the supervision of board of directors, is launching a review aimed at further improving our execution, notably in this player-centric approach and accelerating our strategic path. A lot of financial crap. But the major thing here is... Quote, finally, let me address some of the polarized comments around Ubisoft lately. I want to reaffirm that we are an entertainment-first company creating games for the broadest possible audience, and our goal is not to push any specific agenda. I don't know why the fuck they would bring that up. The whole, like, Assassin's Creed Shadows controversy, which, by the way, about, like, having, like, Yasuke and whatnot, most people, I'm going to say this, like, 90% of people who are buying the game do not give a fuck. They do not talk about it. They just buy the game because Assassin's Creed is on the box and they like those games. So I don't know why they tried to bring it up at this investor meeting. It's like, this is an actual reason why they're not doing well. It's like, no, I think there's a lot more to it than just a weird group of people getting mad about playing as a black person. I don't know. You guys have any thoughts on that?
It was just strange that strange, I guess is the word. I was just surprised they commented on it because like. And I feel like they're the first devs that have, as far as I know. I think Remedy might have had something similar last year, where like Sweet Baby Inc. or whatever, that whole thing was going around. And I think Remedy, someone over there was like, no, we didn't choose a female black lead because of Sweet Baby Inc. Like there was something like that, but to just like see Ubisoft of all people come out and have to say it, it makes it like you're either feeding the fire or you're saying it's either. I think Jake Baldino said a good point where he was like, I'm pretty sure it's him, that he said like the quote doesn't make sense because you don't know if they're gonna get away from it or if they're just gonna keep doing it. Like it was just a quote that they just threw out there, and I just feel like it didn't benefit anyone to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Ubisoft hardly knew now. I don't think they're gonna go away anytime soon, but I think there's gonna be some major restructuring because there is 20,000 employees at that company, and I just don't know if that is sustainable for a company on the scale of Ubisoft, because it's not like they make nearly as much money as like Activision or EA or something. So they're gonna trim the fact, and I think layoffs are inevitable, which is really unfortunate.
Sounds like they're about to be bought up.
Let's not put that energy in the world.
They're gonna get embraced.
No,
I don't think they would get embraced, but I was thinking if this was 2 years ago, Embracer would have bought them. Embracer can't now. Like Embracer, like just physically can't do it, but like
they would have been prime target for the Embrace.
Yeah, like this would have been prime Embrace target. Now it's like Ubisoft probably has to flow their sink, or I don't think like I know there was I'm not even going to get into like Xbox doing it, but we know at some point like Xbox was interested in Ubisoft years ago. I doubt they are now, but it's like Ubisoft isn't shy of like not wanting to be bought, so who knows?
I don't think Ubisoft even has anything that Xbox really wants now at the moment. Xbox kind of like they're probably gonna step back for a bit.
I think Xbox
figure out what the fuck they're doing.
I think there was one of the investors very much urged them going private, which I could actually see that. That's very
that makes
possible.
more sense.
Moving into our next story, I want to go through these a bit quicker now because we spent a lot of time on Sony and Ubisoft because Fusion's here and those are his babies. But now we get to talk about something Fusion hates. Xbox, they had the big TGS show. There was not much else outside of TGS or in TGS because I think TGS is still going on right now, correct?
It's going on.
Yeah. I think it goes through Sunday, I want to say.
Yeah, and that's
like
been the big Death Stranding 2 panel and everything. But right now, Xbox, they're the biggest headliner. They had the news actually come out. When the news come out, they had a presentation. Jeez, I cannot talk today. I didn't watch it because it was at 5 a.m. I think Jack watched it.
I did. I watched it.
Bench,
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
I was
I think
awake.
Bench slept that thing.
I didn't sleep that night.
Oh my god.
I forgot which year it was, but they explained that the reason why they do the TGS conference at some ungodly time is so that it's at a decent time for people in Japan. But like, what the fuck, man?
I mean, no, I get. I mean, it makes sense. It's a TGS show, but still, it's like 3 a.m.
There's more than just people in Japan watching.
I don't know. It's kind of like when they do Nintendo Directs. It's like, yeah, they're in the early morning, but like it works out best for everyone in a way.
Can't just do that. No, let's do it at 4 a.m.
Yeah, it's weird. But Jack actually transcribed everything that was there. So I'm gonna ask Jack, hey, is there anything worth talking about? I will mention Metal Gear Solid Delta got a new trailer. Still looks good. Still no release date. So Fusion is a liar. He said there would be a release date next time we saw it, and there was.
Did I say that?
Well, I know you said that it was going to show up. So you know what? Maybe you're not lying.
I'm pretty sure I just said it show up.
Hey, it looks amazing. Still can't wait. But yeah, that's most likely a 2025 game at this rate. Jack, was there anything you really wanted to shout out that was shown off here?
Threads of Time. Threads of Time looked amazing. I know Bench is with me.
That game looks nuts.
Beautiful.
I'm definitely interested in that. Apart from that, like news-wise, Slitterhead is coming to Xbox, which I'm excited about, but nobody else is.
Dude, I can't wait for that game. I can't wait for just see everyone's reaction to that game. I need to know.
StarCraft Remastered and StarCraft 2 is coming to Game Pass. I know people like those games.
Is that on a Xbox console?
No.
On PC.
Just PC?
Yep.
Fucking hate PC gamers. This shit happened with UFO 50. It happened with 9 Souls.
They did it with WoW too.
Put it on the fucking video game consoles that people own. I don't want to fucking play on my PC. God damn. And don't say Steam Deck. I don't say Steam Deck. I know you guys you wanted to say Steam Deck. I don't want to play on that thing.
There was also a rumor on top of StarCraft. This is just a rumor, by the way, but there's a rumor that they're making a StarCraft shooter, and that would apparently be on consoles.
Yeah, that was
I
on.
I don't know how true that is. I never played StarCraft, but that would be pretty cool if they do that.
They did there was like a canceled StarCraft shooter from back in the early 2000s, so it would be kind of like a return to form of that, which I actually think would be cool. But
I mean, one shout out from me is that Dragon Quest 3 just continues to look amazing. So
yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't say.
Oh yeah, well, there is one thing they showed. They showed the My Hero.
Oh, Doug, I saw those. Oh man. Bro, okay, all I can say is they keep giving skins to Kiriko and Reinhardt. It's like there are other characters in this game
looks good.
that need
There's
skins.
like somebody made a post saying that there's like over 50 characters or some nonsense like that, and only 3 characters get skins.
There's like 40 plus characters at this
Like 48 or something like that. It's damn near 50.
And they only ever give skins to Kiriko, Reinhardt, and Tracer. And they are like the only character. Kiriko especially gets so many fucking skins, and it's like, oh my god, there are other characters in this game, and there are other My Hero characters they could have collabed with. And the worst part is the skins don't even look good; they look awful. So yeah, God bless you, Overwatch. Thank God you're still kicking, because I am not touching you again. And also, Jack, we were talking about this beforehand. It feels like with these Xbox TGS shows, all we ever hear is, "Hey, remember that game you loved a few years ago? Now it's coming to Xbox." It's like, okay, I already played it, man. Like, I don't know what you want me to do with this.
Yeah, the big announcement from this was the Square Enix dump at the end. Trials of Mana and Legend of Mana got added to Game Pass, and Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster Shadow dropped, but not on Game Pass.
I love that idea. It's like, listen, we'll give you Pixel Remaster, but no Game Pass. Like, okay, thanks.
I'll be curious how many it will actually sell.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see, just in general, they're still going really hard for Japan, even though it seems like that's like kind of a lost market for them. But hey, I mean, more games coming out to Xbox. Like,
I mean, they've been working on it for so long. It feels like if you drop it now, you're gonna lose everything the little you do have.
I mean, are they going hard for Japan? Like, a lot of this just feels like they're doing it for appearances. Like, adding pets to Fallout 76, it almost felt like they were talking down on the Japanese audience.
Yeah, I was so weirded out. It's like, why would you put this in the TGS show? They don't give a fuck about Fallout 76. They actually, I will say though,
because cats.
Because cats. Fallout's more big in Japan than you would expect. It's actually kind of a thing over there. Not a huge thing, but it's like people, like hardcore gamers in Japan actually really like Fallout. But no, in general, just seems like kind of the usual standard Xbox TGS show. Is that correct?
Why were they hyping this up so much? Like this year, more in particular, they were like, "Watch the show." They're like, "Yeah, that's nothing new." I guess that's the Strands of Time, but that's like,
I
don't know. I think there's
every show. They hype up literally every show. Like this is just it's a thing. It's marketing, and I'm just like, okay, Xbox, we get it.
The Atelier thing was funny because they did a really deep dive, and then they announced an Atelier game today for next year, another one, and it's not coming to Xbox.
God bless them. Moving on to our small topics, just real quick headlines. Level 5 had a showcase. I didn't watch it, but I just found some of the release dates interesting. Professor Layton's coming out in 2025. Wario64 put this. Tekka Police is now 2026. And Jack, we were talking about this. It's like, what happened for it to be like go from 2023 to 2026?
That game's been fully rebooted, I assume.
That has to be it. I just can't imagine anything else. Fantasy Life I is April 2025. Inazuma 11, June 2025. Another Inazuma 11. How many more? And then another Yokai Watch they actually revealed, which that was something we were predicting would show up here. But yeah, standard level 5 presentation. Not much to gleam there. Seems like they're doing well for themselves. I'm interested to see them like kind of hopefully really make a big swing back upwards because they had a really rough period post 3DS, but now it seems like they're trying to come back in a big way. And then I wanted to point this out. Dean Takahashi has this. Ken Kutaragi noted Black Myth Wukong sold 20 million copies in a month, which is fucking insane. That is about the amount of copies that Hogwarts Legacy sold in a year. So I don't know. Like, I mean, China, man, that is a market that I think a lot more companies are going to be looking at after the success of this game.
People like the monkey.
People like the monkey, man. Give them Game of the Year. And then finally, I just wanted to point this out to Jack. This is something I wanted to talk about with him. California forces digital stores to admit players do not own digital content. Jordan Midler at VGC has this. As reported by The Verge, Gavin Newsom, governor of California, has signed a new bill that will forbid digital storefronts from using terms like buy unless customers are explicitly warned that they are paying for a license to game, which may expire at any time. Quote, as retailers continue to pivot away from selling physical media, the need for consumer protections on the purchase of digital media has become increasingly more important, California Assembly member Jackie Irwin said in a statement. Jack, this is something that I think you and me are very staunchly against, like kind of the digital ownership and everything and the physical games, all that type of stuff. This is something that like pretty much everyone knows when they're buying digital games, or at least like a good amount of people know if you're like following this stuff hardcore, but it seems like they want to actually state like, hey, you have to say that you are not owning this game. This is not a game you own. Any thoughts on that, Jack?
You'd be surprised how many people don't know that they don't own these games. Like, you know, a lot of people like they don't realize, oh, that you know, after you pass away, none of these games, the companies just take the games back. Like you're not supposed to give your account to another family member. I've had to go through this recently. It's like the company seizes those games, so it's weird. But like, this is mostly targeted at online-only games. I've been reading into this a bit more. So like, earlier this year, The Crew went offline, and stuff like that is now. You'll notice there's like a petition in Europe to sort of not let companies get away with stuff like that. Like if you are selling a game, you need to sell it permanently. Like you need to offer an online equivalent for people to play. And you'll notice Ubisoft is now adding offline to The Crew 2 and The Crew Motorfest to avert that from happening in the future when those games eventually go offline. So I am all for this. I think this is a really good idea too. But I do think it is mostly just targeted at the online only stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad that they're at least doing something to at least try to say, like, hey, at least let people know you are not owning this game as something. That way you can. I also think this is just helping the companies so they can avoid like big lawsuits or anything of that ilk. So yeah, I think this is just a win-win for everyone involved. Moving on though, that's all the news we have this week. We gotta talk about the reviews of the week, and there was only one big one. Unless you guys want to talk about the Karate Kid Street Rumble, but the major thing
that
is
isn't the big one.
Oh yeah, hang on. We gotta talk about the small one. That's not too interesting. Let's talk about the small game, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. Yawn, am I right? But it got an 87 on OpenCritic, which is exactly what I said it would get. Pull up the Discord logs. This is exactly what I said. A lot of 9s, a lot of 8s. VGC gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Andy Robinson over there wasn't as big on the game as I think a lot of people were expecting. But yeah, it seems like people are very much into this game. What do you guys? Jack and Bench have been playing the game.
I've played a bit of it too.
Oh no.
Yeah,
I know that side. I mean, just I guess you guys can talk about it right now since we're about to get into what we've been playing. How are we feeling about this game?
Andy Robinson lied. How dare he?
Mike,
Jack,
I'm kidding. I love Andy.
No, Andy's the go. Go ahead, Jack.
No, go ahead, Benj. You go first.
I'm very positive on the game so far. I think overall it is very refreshing. I think the gameplay systems are fun. Like I'm about to go into my second dungeon, and like the map is very big, and it's fun running around, and the puzzle solving is very fun. And I will say, I think my biggest like happiness on this game, it's just refreshing. Like because from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom, it was great, but I mean, the same world, same characters. You were seeing the same people pretty much throughout both games. I mean, there's just like new characters in Echoes of Wisdom, and I don't think that's something we've had in Zelda in a long time. It's like I went to the Gerudo place. I mean, it's not like the people from the Breath of the Wild universe. It's new people, new characters, and overall just fun to explore, and the colorful cast, and the dialogue's great. And I think it's actually it's not really a spoiler, but I mean, Link finally has a lore reason for not speaking at all. And I think that's cool.
That's actually cool. I didn't know that.
And it's actually like pretty deeply explained into like why he's maybe trying to get his voice back. And I think it's like, and this isn't even stuff that's like main campaign. I read a diary of a random character, and it told me this. And that was cool.
Breath of the Wild gave Link a reason why he doesn't talk.
This is like a lore reason to work.
Yeah, the same thing.
Not like he prefers not to speak. Link is unable to speak in this world.
Yeah, come on, Dark. What's up
he
with you?
biologically cannot speak because of past experiences. And I think that's cool. And also like
War.
It's just I think like the story is just generally interesting, actually. I'm enjoying like the kind of lore and how like what's going on has been going on for a while, and that it's kind of something that some people have known about, and it's finally like reaching ahead. And I mean, generally speaking, like there's like the kids that have kind of got like how people have been taken in the past. I think it's just very interesting, and I'm just very much enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, no, I mean, Jack, do you kind of agree with a lot of what you was said there?
Yeah, I'm loving this. I sort of went into it kind of knowing that it wouldn't be totally traditional top-down Zelda, and yeah, it isn't. It does have a lot of unique things about it, but like getting my first piece of heart in the game after like what 15 years since the last time we were what 11 years since the last game that had a piece of heart in it. That was a really nice feeling. So yeah, I'm just loving it. I've only done 2 dungeons so far, but I'm really enjoying this game.
Did you guys notice the copy mechanic or the echo mechanic, I think it's called? Have you noticed you're kind of using the same stuff, or are you actually like trying to differentiate what you're messing around with?
There are definitely a couple of go-tos, but I honestly think that's fine because it also like you'll get one and then it'll be like a level 2 version of it. Maybe you find in a later area that's kind of stronger and stuff.
Mhm.
But there's also like a lot of enemies that everything does something different. And it's like they're not giving you echoes that are like useless. Like not every item in the game is technically an echo. Like if you get an echo, they know there's a use for it. So like I solved the puzzle in a very like abstract way and I felt proud of it. And I thought that was cool.
Good to hear.
Yeah, I agree. I have been using the same kind of objects a lot, and I feel like I might experiment if the menus weren't kind of a hassle to go through, especially when you start getting lots of items.
I was worried about
You
that.
really,
That's the thing I was going to ask about next.
yeah, I mean, it does kind of make it so you do want to just stick to the same few. And to be honest, like a lot of the time, I haven't even been attacking enemies. I've just been walking past them because I just can't be bothered to put an item. But the items that you can use and the ways that you can use them are really cool. Like you get like spiders in one of the done areas, and you could just sort of cheese the whole game with the spiders, which was kind of mentioned in the previews, and that was really fun. So no,
I mean, yeah.
there are. It is cool.
And I think at the beginning you kind of want to be sparse with combat, but like I've gotten some of the stronger things that take like 4 of the like kind of try things. That means like it's decently strong and can put up a fight. I mean,
Interesting.
and also
Yeah.
like the map is honestly like very fun to explore as well. And I mean, I've only been to like the very bottom and in the Gerudo area, but I mean, it seems like it's a pretty sizable map.
It's really
How's the-
cool because it is like a Link to the Past map, but like much bigger. So
It's
a
an
lot of the
expanded version.
locations yeah, but like there's so many like the dungeon locations in the Link to the Past. If you go there in this game, you'll see like something that looks like a ruin of what might have been a dungeon. It's interesting. I'm curious how far they take that.
Last thing I gotta ask: performance. There's been some things about it basically like hitching a lot. What do you guys think?
It's there, but it's not like ruining my experience. I don't think it's honestly. I know some people are saying this is worse than Link to the Past. I mean,
Link's Awakening. Yeah.
Link's Awakening. Like I went back to Link's Awakening recently, and the performance in that game is like borderline just annoying. And I'm not having that issue here at all. I don't know about Jack.
It's definitely a problem. I'm not going to pretend it's good. It's very noticeable all the time, apart from when you're speaking to someone and then it just immediately goes back up to 60 frames. I do wish they'd just looked at 30. Again, I said kind of the same thing with Link's Awakening. But a lot of people are saying, like, Bench is right, a lot of people are saying that it's worse than Link's Awakening, and it probably is, but I feel like it's a lot more justified in this game. Link's Awakening, it was more distracting because of, like, you've only got 8 directions of movement, the world is tiny. It doesn't feel like it should be struggling as much as it is, whereas this game, it's massive. There's so much you can do with it, there's so much stuff you can interact with, so it is something you can try and tune out, but it's definitely there.
Interesting. Well, I cannot wait to get to it, but I'm stuck with Wukong. Still playing through that. My thoughts haven't changed. It's still a 7 out of 10. But hey, it's a 7 out of 10 with some really cool boss fights. So hey, God bless Wukong. I will say Chapter 5 was substantially better. Still doesn't do much for me at all. I don't know why. I don't know why it's not hitting for me, because it hit for Fusion, it hit for Dark, it hit for Bench.
You guys are all like, oh, it's an 8 or even higher, and it's like, man, I don't know if it's like my standards are higher for Souls like, or if it's just like it's that combat just doesn't work for me. It's mostly the combat. Everything else has been stellar, but like the combat just feels so weightless, and the impact is not there that I really want from a Souls like. So yeah, Black Myth Wukong. I don't know. I don't have much great things to say. I say all that. It's still 7. I'm still enjoying it. I wouldn't be playing it if I wasn't enjoying it. It's just I don't think I'm enjoying it nearly as much as people hyped it up. Some people here stated it's a wolf ass game, which just never recommending another game to me again, Bench. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want you to recommend games to me. Moving into Fusion, you've been playing some shut.
What up?
Some shit. You've been playing a good amount of games. If you just want to really, really fast talk about your experience with Wukong and Astrobot, if you just want to like mention like
I
scores for those games, yeah.
Wukong, I did give an 8. I gave Wukong an 8. But I was a 7 for a very long time. Like I think a 7 is a very good, perfectly well scored for the game. I think the final I don't know if you've been doing the secrets. I assume you have been doing the secrets.
I've been doing everything in the game up to
the way the secrets and everything come together at the very end, I think is really special for the game. And genuinely that alone brought it a little higher up for me. I think if that wasn't in the game, it'd be a 7. It'd be still a good game, just not a great game to me. We'll see how you feel. So I would wait until you get to the end, you finish everything, and then go back on it because they do some really, really cool stuff late game. I'm talking about amazing ideas. So wait for that. Astrobot. Astrobot's my game of the year right now. I gave that a 10. The first 10 I've given since Ragnarok. So
yeah.
It's been a while. But that game is fantastic. It was everything I ever wanted from a big Astrobot platformer that I was asking for ever since Playroom, where I was like, 2 to 3 hours wasn't enough. I want 15, and they gave me. I think I ran 18 hours for the plat. I platinum that, so genuinely stellar. I cannot wait for anything more Astro with that DLC.
Dude, and then it's so fucking good. It's just one of those games. I still load it up every.
I just wish there was a level a day. Just give me a level a day that I could play.
Work them overtime. I don't care.
It is so good.
Such an incredible experience. But I really want to get you deep into Metaphor demo. You played the demo for that in Plucky Squire, which I think you're the only one here who's played it. I might be wrong.
That's crazy, guys. No, I'll start with Plucky because I'll have Dark jump in on the demo when I talk about the demo. So Plucky, just to be sure, I gave Plucky a 7 out of 10 off the rip of a rating wise. I think the game is good, but it doesn't do enough with the gimmicks it has. It has really cool ideas where there's a point where I get sucked into a card of it's an art card of an archer, some girl archer that you fight, and then you have a fight. You fight her like you would in a Pokemon game or any turn-based game where you have your attack or dodge or you're using your ability. It's they have things like that, or there's a punch out mini game later on where you're literally fighting. Yeah, you're fighting a badger that's stealing honey. You're literally doing that, but there's not enough of that. And the game stops you way too much between things. There's a lot of reading in this game, which makes sense. You're in a storybook, and you want to rearrange. The best parts of the game is the puzzles with the words, where you rearrange the words, and you open the gate by putting "open" in front of it. Blah blah blah. You go back to other pages, but the game stops you so much to the point where it's you'll just finish a puzzle, and then next you know, you have a 5-minute talking conversation. You'll turn one more page, and then it's talking again. There's not a fluid between gameplay. I think you would despise it, Wolf, because of how much you hate when games stop you in your tracks tutorial-wise. It feels a lot of that.
I kind of knew how I would feel about the game when Greg Miller was talking about it, and he was really negative. I think he gave it a 6.5. And he straight up said it's this is more of an experience game. It's I'm out. That immediate.
Yeah, because the combat's not good by any stretch of that. You're just pressing the same button for the most part, and it's very I think enemies die in 1 or 2 hits. And I was playing on the adventure mode. There's 2 modes, adventure and then story. So I was on the harder mode, And it was very much like no thought, just click square a few times on the enemy and they die, like nothing crazy. I had a few frustrating deaths just because of sometimes the way the 2D would look on my screen. It just didn't. It felt like I was touching an enemy when I wasn't actually touching an enemy. Like the hit detection was a little off there. But I do think the game is worth a playthrough. I think the story, I was actually pretty impressed with the little storybook story I was telling. I didn't think I was gonna like take anything away from it, but it was actually like genuinely I would get off and I'd be like, I want to know what happens next in the story, which seems weird in a game that's like going for this whole 2D, 3D gimmick of doing all these mini games and everything else. But yeah, it was a good time. I guess you could say slightly disappointed. I thought it would be like higher on my like game of the year list. I don't think it will even be in my top 5. It was just a good game that I've played multiple better indies alone this year. So little disappointed there, but nothing where I don't think it's a miss and I don't think they did a bad job. I think this was a really good idea and I would be interested to see if they work with this and make it into more of adding more mini games and like a future. Obviously, they're probably not a Plucky Squire 2, but whatever they work on next, if they stick with this whole 3D versus 2D type of thing.
Would you say it's like very much a like cute story, like you're enjoying it because it's like, oh, this is wholesome and fun, or is it like a genuinely like you're invested in what's happening to these characters? It's like, oh wait, there's real things going on here.
Yeah, that's interesting because I thought it was just going to be this like little charmy, goofy story, and it is at its heart. But there's also some deep elements into it where it's like talking about people's past and like traumas a little bit, and just like things going on where like the storybook is like obviously it's telling a story, and there's things outside of the story affecting the inside story, and like it goes way deeper than I ever thought the story would go, which is why I was kind of taken back and being like, oh, this is actually pretty impressive. It stopped you too much to tell you that story, if that makes sense. It was almost like that. I think one of you here talked about in Prince of Persia Lost Crown, where like how many tablets they had, where you would do like an entire.
That was me.
Yeah, where you would do like an entire part, and like the reward at the end was just a tablet of lore or something of where it's just like, and half the lore wasn't great. But it almost feels like that, where it would just stop you in the tracks of like your gameplay or whatever you were doing, and then just hit you with like. It was almost like the entire game just wanted to give you tutorials because they were introducing so many new mini games that they would always tell you how it's going to work, obviously. And it felt like that happened every 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes, they were like, "Hey, this is how this works. Hey, this is how this works. Hey, this is how this works." So, from that standpoint, yes, from that standpoint, it would get a little annoying. But I don't think, and the puzzles weren't nearly as hard as I would have liked them to be. And I'm not someone who's like wants super hard puzzles where I have to end up Googling because that's annoying, but I would have rather had something where like there was only maybe 1 or 2 times in this whole game, which took me 8 hours to be like, oh, I actually have to think pretty hard here and figure this out.
Yeah, it's so frustrating because I saw like the puzzle of like this blank is open and like you would have to find gate. And it's like, oh, maybe there's gonna be like really interesting puzzles regarding like word salads. It's like you create a sentence that affects the world in a different way, and it's like they get really complicated later on. It sounds like it's pretty surface level even near the end.
Yeah, there's definitely more complicated ones where you have to go back multiple pages. Like you might be like, you have to open this gate. Open might have been a word 3 pages back, so you might have forgot what even happened 3 pages ago in this book. But if you remember, you might have to take a while to be like, oh, let me backtrack to this part of the story and grab that word from there. Those were my favorite puzzles. But there was never a sentence that you needed more than 1 word to replace. Every sentence only needed 1 word replacements. So it's not like you were building long sentences out. It was always like, you just need to replace this 1 word with this word and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little disappointing to hear all that. You know, it's. I always had a way more interest in Plucky Squire. I was fully expecting it to be like this fun 2D, 3D platform. But it sounds like it's not the type of game I would personally enjoy, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think the combat would really turn you off because it's very, very the best. It is a puzzle game at heart, really. Like you're there for the puzzles and the mini games, and that's when those hit. They hit really well. Like some of the best I've ever seen. Like the ideas are really cool, but they don't hit enough.
Yeah. Interesting. Well,
You've also, though, Fusion, I'm so curious about this. The Metaphor demo, I need to know what you think of this, because you were not big on Persona 3 Reload.
Yeah, I can't give too much because, to be honest, I probably put 45 minutes in, and it was mainly to check performance because Binks was telling me performance was terrible on PC, so I had to see if he was lying or not. Performance-wise, which is why I went in there, it seemed pretty fine. At least on my rig. My rig is very expensive, my PC, so like it doesn't help that like I know there has been some issues on Steam Deck that Dark will talk about after me, but for my PC that's very expensive, it ran well enough. Like it wasn't perfect. They definitely hopefully fixed some things from day one, but it looked good. I had high frames, like it was fine. A story perspective, I was skipping cutscenes obviously for the most part because I didn't want to invest myself into a demo. But I will say the cutscenes I did sit and watch a little bit, I was really impressed with. They were very high quality. The voice acting was very well done, as I assume all the Persona games are. Like I said, I've only played Reload.
Yeah, they're good. Voice acting wise.
And this was like, yeah, they were very. The city I was in was interesting. I haven't had a single combat encounter, so I can't even speak on the combat yet because, again, I was mainly there to just check performance. And I got to the main city of the demo and talked to a few people, and then I got off for the night because it was late and I just didn't want to continue. So I'm sorry that I can't give you much more on like if this is going to be a game for me.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I'll play a little bit more of the demo and mess around the combat and actually see. But from the people I've seen on Twitter, it sounds like it is just more Persona stuff. And as I've said on this podcast, I wasn't huge into Persona 3. So if the same loop is there, which I don't know, again, I haven't looked too far into this game. If the same loop of Persona is there, I'm sure it's not going to be a game I give my time to down the line. But I want to get further in the demo to at least see and make that decision myself.
It was funny. I saw a lot of positive statements, but then I saw someone, I forget who it was like, man, the racial undertone, like the whole theme of like racism in this world, that it very much feels like ham-fisted in a way where it's like, okay, we get it. Like at a certain point, like, all right, we understand. I'm very curious to see how it handles in the final game when that releases. I don't have too much interest in the demo just because it's like, yeah, I'm not a big demo guy, but I am curious. This is a Game Pass game, right?
No.
Oh, oh, fuck. I guess Xbox has been marketing it, but so I just
it's just it's not Game Pass, which was good, which was I was disappointed by because this is the type of game where I would love, like Reload, to have Game Pass as an opportunity to try it out and be like, hey, I'm going to put 10 hours into it. At least I didn't spend $70 if I don't like it. I can walk away. But the fact that I can't do that means I'm less likely to get it because I'm not just going to throw $70 on a product that I might not like.
I can ship you my copy after I'm done with the Fusion.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, this is I'm trying a new IP and I can forever since Atlas made a new IP. So they're not really gonna put it on something like Game Pass. At least not right away.
Yeah. And you, Dark, you said on Steam Deck, you said there was like hitching problems or something.
So it's not really an issue. It's just something weird. So this for lower NPCs, from mid to low NPCs, unless you have like a super rig like fucking Fusion over here. The game runs fucking smooth. You can hold constant 60, and on the Steam Deck it can run like 50 stable, and then in combat it goes to 60 since it's turn-based. This is something that the demo had, which is really weird. So when you made it to the city, which is called the castle, when you would turn the camera, the FPS would start going fucking ballistic. So you would look in one direction and it'll be 75 FPS, and then you just turn the camera to the right, it's all of a sudden at 30, but nothing in the game actually changes besides the number of the FPS, if that makes sense. It's a really weird bug. It doesn't affect the game whatsoever. And there was some slight hitching when you first but it does like the anime cutscenes into normal gameplay, and it does that a lot. There's very slight hitching when that happens, but outside of that, performance-wise, it's pretty solid on part of their other titles.
In Dark, are you on this game day one?
Maybe. It depends on what I'm doing at the time.
Because I know me and Jack, this is one of our most anticipated games of the year.
Really? I didn't know. You never talk about it.
No,
but the problem, he won't play the demo. He's a fraud. I'm a bigger fan.
I don't like JRPG demos. I'll prefer to play the full game.
Fusion, can I be completely honest with you, man to man?
What up?
Bench has made me substantially less excited for Metaphor because he won't shut up about it.
Jats talked about it more than me.
He's like this is like
unironically,
Deathloop in PlayStation.
Yeah, dude, exactly. Dude, it's like, okay, I get it. I'm excited. It's like, bro, it's at the point where I'm
Are you
like,
excited though?
No, you keep pulling this shit. Are you excited? You know what? No, and not anymore. I'm picking up Silent Hill 2.
Well, to your credit, I have not watched any of the trailers they've put out in the last like 6 months because they showed too much.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I did. I was saying that
Like,
whole thing. It's
which
like,
honestly,
I get it.
which has got me a little more excited. Not gonna lie, because I've just like avoided like everything. Like the Xbox show trailer, I just covered my eyes and ears.
It was like every showcase. It's like we're showing off another trailer for Metaphor. It's like, dog. At this point, you're showing off the game.
Well, I mean, it's like 100 hours apparently, but
they've shown 100 hours of trailers.
They probably have shown like about 27 minutes.
Seriously. But Dark, you was gonna say something before I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Something that is improved upon from the Persona series and P5 especially. I don't know how to explain. In P5, like characters in the background kind of just feel so. They don't even have faces. They're just like people walking. This game, it feels more fleshed out. You can tell that they put a lot more emphasis into like the backgrounds and making the place feel more lived in than Persona. And then I did try a little bit of the gameplay. Combat, turn-based combat is always the same. They did have the new like Trails-esque combat where like you can do action combat leading into it. It works. It's a little bit clunky. Hopefully P6 they figure it out. I feel like they have the right idea. They just haven't really got it fully down packed yet.
Yeah, I was looking at footage of that like new combat system. I'm like, this looks so annoying. Just give me turn-based. Like, choose one lane.
Like, it can work. Trail's done it 3 times now, and they've perfected it in my opinion, where like it smoothly transitions into one another. They're still learning the ropes Atlas with this.
The problem is with, I haven't played it, but like from with a visual, like Trails, whenever you get into a battle through the new system, it's just like the battle is where you're standing in the world. It's like there's no like loading screen, but like there's a quick like flash on the screen into like the battle like setting and Metaphor that's different, which maybe like interrupts the flow a little bit.
It's not the transition, it just feels clunky. Like when you doing the action combat, it feels a little bit slow and clunky. But it's like it's very minor nitpick. It's not gonna like detriment the game in any shape.
Yeah, everyone playing this game is like over the moon hyped about what they played.
But yeah,
not Fusion. Fusion hated it. I'm kidding.
No, I didn't. I was indifferent with it. I will say, I'm not even gonna hate on the JRPGs as a whole, but like, Dark, did you feel like you? Spoiler for the demo, I guess. You just get off in this random desert, like you're just in a desert at the beginning of the game. It just feels so bare, and I cannot stand. I'm probably only alone in this.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Where the enemies are just like walking around doing nothing, like you're just running into them. I can't stand that. I just can't when I'm like, it's this bare desert with like horrible textures. I'm sorry, your game doesn't look that great right now. And then your enemies are just like, either they spawn out of nowhere or they're just like aimlessly walking around me. And I'm like, this is not cool or good.
Feed me that.
So
I'm like, I don't understand how this is like every JRPG ever.
All of Atlas's games are like that, where they just have enemies roaming and you kind of run into them. The difference is this time is that the arenas are so large and open world. You feel it a lot more. In the desert area, the graphics were pretty. They weren't the best to look at.
It was like the Switch. No offense
to the
Switch, but it really looked like a Switch game.
Mid-2000s JRPG, but again, it's not bad when you just following the market is gonna be completely fine. I don't know how the end game would do, and I skipped all the cutscenes and everything, but I didn't want to spoil myself. And I don't know anything about the story or anything. I just put random names for the characters as well.
Didn't they say it's gonna be 100 hours long?
They said like 120 hours long or some shit like that.
Well, it's like as long as P5 length.
I'm just saying 40 hours should be the limit. Like I feel like there should be like a legal limit at a certain point.
If someone's gonna make a long RPG, Atlas gets the pass.
No, Persona gets the pass. All right. This is new blood. Yeah. You're not new.
But what if the new blood is good? And then they get the pass.
You always say that. Whatever.
I don't know if they're gonna make like just from playing the little bit I did. I don't know if this is something that they're gonna make into a series like Persona.
I think that's the goal, though.
Yeah, I just don't know if that's gonna happen though.
I think it'll depend on how it performs.
It needs to, yeah. We need to see a performance. I do very much. I'm very curious with how much Xbox is pushing it. How the sales are going to be on Xbox. I don't expect that much, but maybe I could be proven wrong. And it's like, oh wow, it actually did really well there.
I mean, they have a pretty good relationship.
I think it's going to sell well. I think it'll be a success.
It'll sell definitely well. I think it will probably at least get that 1 million in the first month, around the same as Persona 3 Reload. So yeah, very interested, very excited. Less excited, but still excited. I don't ironically think I might pick up Silent Hill 2 instead, though, just to get something.
You and me against the world. Let's do it together.
Yeah, really. Are you jumping in on Silent Hill 2 day one?
I do want the game. We'll see day one. I don't know if I want to spend reviews and all that.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of right there with you. It looks so much better, and also those previews got me excited. But also, I've seen previews live before, so it's still skeptical. Skeptic. Whatever. Anyways, that's the end of the podcast. Pretty lengthy episode. Wait. Oh, go for it.
God of War Ragnarok dropped on PC. I want to talk about it.
Okay.
Fucking, how do I even describe how this game is? Okay, this game.
No, just tell it what it is.
The GOAT, man.
This game is like the best video game I've ever played. It is one of those, like, it is worthy of that type of praise. It's just like there is not a single complaint I can give this game. And I'm happy that I've gotten the chance to play it. It is better than I say the original, it's like the 2018 game. It's better than that game in every single aspect. And I'm kind of sad that like the duology is over. I don't know if they're gonna continue with this version of Kratos. I want them to. I don't know if they even have to. I feel like his story is complete after Valhalla. But this game is so fucking incredible. I feel like it's a must play for anybody who likes games.
I feel like
duology.
I agree with that. I feel like my thing is like what you said about like Kratos' journey being complete. God of War isn't God of War without Kratos. I'm very adamant about that. You can't just change protagonists. Like the next title is probably just going to be a soft reboot. Egypt, hopefully. That's what I'm gunning for.
The thing is, like, I don't think they have to do anything. I feel like they nailed it. I mean, obviously, that's money. They're going to do more shit. But like, in terms of the character that they've created, this story team did such an incredible job of Kratos and fleshing him out, and everybody related to him. After Valhalla, which like really capstones his journey, I don't think there's anything else you can add to this character. I could very well be wrong. I don't think there's anything else you can add.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see where the franchise moves from here.
In terms of just how the PC port is in general, it's a great PC port. There is one big issue with it. For whatever reason, Sony made it a requirement that you need 6 gigabytes of VRAM to even start the game. The game won't start if you don't have 6 gigabytes of VRAM. The problem is you can run the game with 1 gigabyte of VRAM perfectly fine. It's just a random lock that they have on the game. I don't know why they did that. There's mods on PC that you can circumvent this, and on the Steam Deck, you don't have to do anything. The game just runs fine.
I'm very curious. Yeah, I'm very happy to hear that like you loved it though. That's a very special game. Definitely one of the best of this generation.
I'm not big on Sony, but when they make a good game, they make it good. I think Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man was really good, but I feel like these two games in particular really stand out.
Fusion, isn't that crazy? Even when he's hyping up a Sony game, he has to drop. Yeah, I fucking hate this company though.
I don't hate
you. Got lucky.
Issues with Spider-Man too.
You got lucky, Sony.
You guys got lucky. You fell into this one.
This one landed on you guys' lap, right?
You never make good shit, but this is the one time.
When a game's good, the game's good. But yeah, I've done everything, so I did all the optional shit that I felt like was worth doing. I had a really good time with it.
But yeah, that's it for the podcast. A very long one, but a very fun one. Jack, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it, man. I hope you get over your sickness. I hope it wasn't too rough for you. You're like dying in the background while we're talking about fucking Ubisoft.
Well, I was, but that's half the fun.
Oh yeah, that's what I want to hear. And Fusion, I gotta say, that rust came off real quick. It felt like just another episode, honestly.
Yeah, I expected some rust at the start, but it ended up well, so it was good to be back.
You did great, man. And this obviously Darkened Bench as always doing great. I hope I did good. Did I do good for you guys?
You always
did really good.
You did good.
You're holding it down.
Okay, I was expecting some roast there. Thank you.
You want me to roast you?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Anyways, if you guys want to find us, YouTube, Spotify, all your favorite podcast places, Twitter at A Slice of Gaming. I think that's it. Thank you guys. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Have a good one.
Bye bye.